Coming up on Cronkite News, the Supreme Court is weighing in on a challenge to the Department of Homeland Security's enforcement of deportation policies.
Plus, how a new partnership with the Boys and Girls Club is helping kids with their mental health.
And later, Mullet Arena hosted a highly ranked ASU event without the ice skates.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Carolina Hassett.
And I'm Mackenzie Hamill. Thank you for joining us. With apprehensions at the southern border at an all-time high of 2.4 million in the past year, the Supreme Court today took up a challenge to the Department of Homeland Security's enforcement policies.
At issue whether states have any say in the matter, Cronkite News reporter John Brown has the story from our Washington bureau.
In more than 2 hours of arguments over the Biden administration's immigration enforcement priorities this morning, the Supreme Court asked, when does shall mean shall? To the state of Texas and to some justices, the answer is obvious. The law says undocumented immigrants shall be deported and immigration officers don't have discretion in the matter. But United States Solicitor General Elizabeth Prologar argued that the government simply does not have the resources to deport all 11 million migrants in this country.
There are non-citizens out there who have criminal convictions for serious offenses like murder and sex offenses that wouldn't qualify under a shall because of the court's categorical approach. And that means we wouldn't have the resources or ability to go after those individuals who are threats to public safety, national security, and border security.
She was defending the Homeland Security Department's policy of prosecutorial discretion, which directs officers to focus on apprehending criminals. That policy was successfully challenged by Texas, whose Solicitor General, Judd Stone, argued that states bear many of the consequences of federal immigration decisions.
The states do not claim the petitioners must remove anyone in particular. Rather, petitioners' detention obligations arise before and after their decision to prosecute and run only to a small subset of this nation's illegal aliens.
But Prologar and several of the justices said Texas was on shaky ground with its claim that it could sue the federal government over supposed damages that result from the department policy.
First, the states lack standing. They argue states can challenge any federal policy that imposes even $1 of indirect harms on their own taxing or spending.
She said that allowing states to challenge and courts to vacate such policies sets bad precedent, a point echoed by Justice Elena Kagan, who said allowing states to block such rules essentially gives them control over federal policy.
We're just going to be in a situation where every administration is confronted by suits by states that can, bring a policy to a dead halt, to a dead stop, by just showing a dollar's worth of costs.
While the court considers the case, the administration's policy of prosecutorial discretion will remain on hold. At the Supreme Court, John Brown, Cronkite News.
Arizona led 17 other states that filed a friend of the court brief in the case, supporting the Texas challenge to the Biden administration's immigration enforcement priorities policy.
A ruling in the case, United States versus Texas, is not expected for several months. In a meeting this afternoon, Cochise County officials approved to hire an outside lawyer to handle their case against Secretary of State and Governor-elect Katie Hobbs. Hobbs is suing the county after it refused to certify its election results by the state deadline yesterday, citing tabulation machine errors. Hobbs tweeted that Cochise County had a statutory duty to certify its results and ensure all votes were counted. Arizona law requires state certification by December 8th. Without Cochise County's results, nearly 50,000 ballots cast may not be counted, and that could flip two close races. Republican supervisors could face criminal charges for not carrying out their obligations.
The Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety announced a decrease in traffic stops and DUI arrests over Thanksgiving weekend. From November 23rd through the 26th, there were 323 DUI arrests compared to the 350 during a similar time last year. The majority of the DUIs were misdemeanors, with only 51 being aggravated incidents. The average blood alcohol concentration of those arrested was 0.166, an increase compared to last year. Very few librarians are people of color, but a new program at ASU hopes to attract more diverse groups to the profession. Reporter Annie Levino has more information on how inclusive libraries can add to inclusive communities.
The 3-year project includes scholarships to help bring community college and tribal college students to work at ASU libraries and hopefully to study to become librarians and archivists. Jessica Salo is one of 3 Black librarians that work at the ASU library in Tempe.
Historically, our profession has always been dominated by white people within this profession.
Salo says there is room to improve when hiring Black, Latino, and Indigenous employees.
Most people, especially people of color, don't know that they can become librarians or archivists because we just don't have that exposure into the wider community.
Reports say less than 3% of librarians and archivists are Black, while 2% are Indigenous people. BIPOC are proportionately underrepresented in this job field. The new initiative at ASU hopes to recruit people from diverse communities and offer $10,000 fellowships with hopes that they will pursue studies in library and archive science.
That can be a challenge when you hire people and they're in a situation that they don't feel like they have necessarily community support.
The hope is more diversity in these job fields will attract more community members to the library. Both ASU and the City of Tempe libraries are focusing on diversity and inclusivity as they provide BIPOC people the opportunity to grow into library employees.
Because as a Black woman within this field, I want to see more of us in this field so that we can make that impact and that difference.
The ASU program hopes to initially recruit primarily from the Tohono O'odham Community College and Maricopa County Community College. In the newsroom, Annie Levino, Cronkite News.
Boys and Girls Clubs of the Valley provide thousands of young people a home away from home. Kids participate in sports, have a place to go after school, and now will get help related to mental and behavioral health.
Cronkite News health reporter Jordan Lavazari tells us about a new collaboration between the organization and Taros Health.
The new Whole Child Approach program will bring behavioral health coaches to 10 different Boys and Girls Club locations. The goal of this partnership is to assess the mental health of the kids who attend, using games and everyday activities to help them open up and develop more resilience.
15-year-old Aldo Cano has been coming to the Boys and Girls Club in North Phoenix since the 1st grade. He was named 2022 Youth of the Year for the branch, but he wasn't always this outgoing.
I was back then a shy kid. I didn't want to be near anybody. Most of the time, I would go from school to home and not talk with anybody. But after my mom put me in the club, it was really helpful, especially since the first activity I joined was soccer.
Things took a turn for the worse when the pandemic struck. Though the club remained open, Cano's parents felt it was safer for him to stop going for a while.
I instead went to go work with my parents for 4 months, and during that time I'm still doing school. But it was a bit harder for me since I wasn't able to catch up with anyone, since I don't have a phone, so I was totally isolated.
The pandemic had devastating consequences for the mental health of many Americans, but its effects were particularly tough on youth. To help, Boys and Girls Clubs of the Valley is partnering with Taros Health to embed behavioral health counselors on site at club locations.
So the whole child approach with the Boys and Girls Clubs will be to introduce social emotional learning within our programs that are already running within the club, give youth cognitive skills, behavioral skills, lifelong skills.
Taros Health will staff 10 club locations the first year of the program, but but the goal is to eventually expand to all 30 locations.
We know that the pandemic had absolutely devastating impact on children and their social and emotional needs. So really this is to get those kids back to where they should be with their social skills, their coping skills, and really have an impact on their future.
Kano is excited for the program and emphasized that young people need extra help with COVID still prevalent.
While we may act okay and put a smile on our face, that sometimes deep down we just need somebody to reach out. And I think that would make a huge difference.
Program leaders hope to expand this effort to all Boys and Girls Clubs of the Valley by 2025. In the newsroom, Jordan Lavazari, Cronkite News.
Coming up, the Arizona Department of Transportation announced their plan to install electric vehicle charging stations. What Arizonans can expect the project to include.
And a volcano in Hawaii is erupting. The details on the largest active volcano on Earth up next.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
The term range anxiety, maybe you've heard of it, is the idea that an electric car will run out of battery before it reaches the next charging station.
Jennifer Sani spoke with the people behind a plan to help ease the anxiety about how it'll work and what drivers can expect.
In downtown Phoenix, charging stations like these are common, but along major highways, drivers have fewer places to charge. Soon, Arizona will install charging stations every 50 miles. ADOT will expand the network of electric vehicle charging stations on interstate highways. The state will receive $76.5 million to support these upgrades after Congress passed the bipartisan infrastructure law last year.
The initial phase is going to begin in 2023, and it's going to be looking at upgrading existing charging stations. And as a part of that, we will also be looking in the future towards building new stations, but that's going to be really in 2024.
Arizona Public Interest Research Group Education Fund collaborated with ADOT to study the potential impacts for Arizona drivers.
Consumers that own and drive an electric vehicle stand to save thousands of dollars annually through the reduction of fuel costs and operating and maintenance costs.
Both Nick and Brown agreed that the plan has been well received by the public. For one electric vehicle owner, the benefits could help the world.
I'm real big on the environment, and I just love the fact that we aren't burning oil, we aren't importing oil, we aren't digging it up, we aren't spilling it all over. I can drive on the solar that comes off my own roof. It's just, to me, that's like a miracle.
Stack says he's been driving an electric car for about 20 years.
Electric vehicle is probably one of the few in the world that can charge off of renewable energy, wind power, solar power, geothermal power, hydropower, all these things that other cars can't.
The short-term goal for now is to establish the charging network on interstate highways.
And then after that, we're going to start looking at non-interstate roadways, the larger highways, such as US 93 between Wickenburg and Las Vegas.
Is still seeking public input. If you'd like to learn more about the project or share your feedback, check out ADOT's website. In Phoenix, Jennifer Sani, Cronkite News.
The largest active volcano on Earth is erupting on Hawaii's biggest island right now. It's the first time in almost 40 years since its last eruption on what's called the Big Island. Scientists say the lava flowing into the northeast rift zone will likely stop before reaching the large town below. However, the National Guard is on standby and the State Health Department continues to monitor air quality. It's almost December and we're about to see some nice winter temps.
Isabella Fredrickson is in the Cronkite News Weather Center with your full forecast.
As we head into the winter season, we can expect to see some much colder temperatures this week. Starting off with our evening planner, cold temperatures the rest of the day. At 6 p.m., we're looking at only 62 degrees, and it will only get cooler the rest of the evening. By 10 p.m., we're only at 55 degrees. However, clear skies are expected, and as we look at our futurecast, those clear skies will remain until around Friday, where we will start to see some light ice and light rain activity, as well as a lot of cloud coverage both in the north and northwest portions of the state. Moving on to the high temperatures in Arizona for tomorrow, we are going to again see a lot of colder temperatures. Down south, we're looking at temperatures in the low 70s to mid 60s, and up north, we are looking at much colder temperatures into the 40s. Tomorrow, the high in Phoenix will only be at 72 degrees, and our coldest tomorrow will be up north in Page at only 47 degrees. And finally, as we take a look at our 8-day forecast, we are going to see those cold temperatures throughout the rest of the week. Low 70s up through the weekend, but once we hit Monday, we are dropping down to 65 and even 63 degrees on Tuesday. Slight cloud coverage throughout the rest of the week as well. Be sure to have a jacket handy and enjoy those colder temperatures. Isabella Fredrickson in the Cronkite News Weather Center.
I'm Joseph Hurtado. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. A former Arizona Wildcat is using his playing experience as a coach with an NBA team.
This is the moment that we've been waiting for. There's something different about you, a new brightness in your eyes.
Welcome to the Hotel Portofino.
How utterly charming. Something is coming, can you feel it now?
My dreams have been invigorated.
We like stories that are going to elevate us.
Feel it now.
What is your sense now of the situation?
Something is coming.
They gave us possibilities.
This is the opportunity to share my recipes.
Feel it now.
There are heroes everywhere you look.
Something is coming.
You're going deep into the heart of America.
The Holocaust is a story that Americans have to reckon with, too.
This is pure exploration.
Wow!
I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Welcome back to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Joseph Hurtado. The U.S. men's soccer team found themselves in a must-win game today against Iran, and tensions between the two countries were running high. Iran called out U.S. team to be kicked out of the World Cup after U.S. Soccer Federation altered Iran's flag on social media to support women in Iran who are fighting for human rights. Iranian journalists took aim at U.S. team captain Tyler Adams for mispronouncing their country's name and the United States' own history of discrimination.
My apologies on the mispronunciation of your country. Yeah, that being said, you know, there's discrimination everywhere you go. You know, one thing that I've learned, especially from living abroad in the past years and having to fit in different cultures and kind of assimilate into different cultures, is that in the U.S. we're continuing to make progress every single day.
As for the game, fans piled into Crowd Public House in downtown Phoenix to cheer on the men in blue. It was a close game, but fans erupted when the U.S. scored first. Christian Pulisic put his body on the line to score the goal and had to exit the game. Things were close down to the stretch, but the U.S. pulled out the victory to advance.
I thought we played really well. Tyler Adams did a great job defensively. Christian Pulisic was able to get a good chance on goal. He finished it. And overall, I thought we played pretty hard, and we did what we had to do to advance. USA! 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 Let's go!
ASU Wrestling recently opened Mullet Arena, and the second largest crowd in program history when they opened against third-ranked Missouri. Cronkite News reporter Michelle Aaron was in Tempe for the back-and-forth duel.
ASU Wrestling held their first home match of the season at the much-anticipated multi-purpose Mullet Arena. The fifth-ranked Sun Devils, led by Sun Devil alum Zeke Jones, took on the third-ranked Missouri Tigers.
Nearly 3,000 fans filled Mullet Arena, many of them chanting. The team really felt the crowd's energy in their 19-17 victory over Mizzou.
We won because of the people in those stands tonight. They were rocking. Our guys fed off it. You could just tell.
The night started off with a takedown in the 125-pound weight class as Sun Devil Richard Figueroa made his varsity debut against the 14th-ranked Noah Sertan.
Coming to like this environment with the crowd and stuff, I like this. I know I live for this stuff. Like I like getting the crowd started and going. And coming into it, I just know how to do my job and just score points as much as I could and, you know, just come out with the W.
The Sun Devils continued to pick up wins in the 133, 141, and 149 weight classes. But Missouri would quickly pick up the pace, winning the next 4 weight classes. It all came down to the deciding match in the heavyweight division, with ASU's ace, #1 ranked Colton Schultz, versus the 7th-ranked Zach Elam.
A 2-point duel coming into the final match, that's what we live for. There's nothing beats that level of excitement of like really having a duel on the line coming down to you. I'm grateful for those opportunities, grateful that we were able to put together a good performance to get there.
Schultz dominated and was able to get Elam to the ground for multiple takedowns, leading to a major decision 12-4 win and bolstering the Sun Devils to an overall victory.
It was a close match all around, with ASU proving they can not only keep pace with, but beat some of the best wrestlers in the nation. In Tempe, Michelle Aaron, Cronkite News.
Today is Giving Tuesday, and ASU Athletics just got a huge gift from longtime booster nap Lawrence. Lawrence is so excited about the energy new football coach Kenny Dillingham is bringing to the program that he pledged $1 million to the Sun Angel Collective, the school's primary NIL collective, and is hoping others will give as well.
ASU's got to do that, and we've got enough successful alumni that if they take it serious and everybody give a little bit, we'll be able to compete with the Ohio States and the Georgias, etc., Alabamas.
After a couple of disappointing seasons, the Washington Wizards started their 2022-23 season relatively strong, and an assistant coach with Arizona ties has a hand in that success. Cronkite News reporter Haley Smilo has Joseph Blair's story from our Washington bureau.
Blair, who has been coaching in the NBA for 4 years, says it was the guidance and lessons he learned while playing and later coaching in Arizona that put him on that path. The path that took him and the Wildcats to Pac-10 championships in 1993 and 1994. The same year they made a Final Four appearance, but he says he did not understand the significance of those milestones until years later.
I came up meagerly. I really didn't have a television. The first time we won it, I didn't understand what a big deal it was. Being around, obviously, basketball players all the time, to be able to say that, we won 2 conference championships in a very powerful conference, it means a lot.
Blair was drafted by Seattle, but opted to play overseas. He spent roughly 8 seasons playing in Italy, Greece, Turkey, and Russia before returning to Tucson, where he hoped for a career in politics. When he joined the Wildcats as an assistant coach, it was initially to get tuition paid for his master's studies, but it turned into more as he started working with the young players.
We have been working on one particular move over and over and over again. They're running down the other end of the court. The whole bench turns and looks at me and says, JB, that was all you. I got goosebumps all over, and I said, forget politics, I'm going to coach basketball.
Blair says he was inspired by Arizona coaches Lute Olson, who recruited him as a player, and Sean Miller, who brought him on as a coach. After 2 seasons with the Wildcats, he moved to the NBA with stops in Philadelphia, Minnesota, and Washington.
Just those ties and the connection to Arizona is really what brought me to where I am today.
While he recently sold his house in Tucson, Blair still has lots of appreciation for the state.
I love Arizona. I love the community. I love the warmth of it. I love the growth of it as well.
So much so that Blair, who still visits Arizona once to twice a year, says he plans to retire in Tucson. In Washington, Haley Smilo, Cronkite News.
That's it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Joseph Furtado. Back to you, Mackenzie.
The Super Bowl is almost here, and with it, a lot of activities and celebrities are also heading to Arizona. The big names on the lineup for the Super Bowl Music Fest coming up.
The Super Bowl is coming to Arizona in a little over 2 months, but it's not just about football.
The Super Bowl Music Fest just announced 3 headliners for the 3 nights of concerts leading up to the big game. The concerts will take place at the Footprint Center in downtown Phoenix. Paramore is kicking things off, followed by Dave Matthews Band with Anderson .Paak, and Imagine Dragons with Kane Brown on Saturday the 11th. Tickets for these concerts go on sale this Friday.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight.
Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.